Alright, guys. Y'all see who it is. You know, Nick Nittoli is back on the channel. Why is he back? So I can roast the shit out of him again. Okay? Look, for a while, I think I was kind of in denial about Nick Nittoli, right? I thought he had some interesting things to talk about. But as time went on, I started to see more and more that this is a conservative rapper. Okay. And I think once I heard cancel Target or whatever the heck that trash was, I said, you know what? I'm out. That's it. He ain't gonna be on the channel no more. I'm tired of hearing about this dude. Okay. So conservative rap. We know you're a conservative rapper. Like we know that much, right? So what's he gonna talk about on this one? I have no idea. Let's find out.
Yeah, they calling it conservative rap, cause I rap about guns. Conservative rap, cause I rap about Trump. Conservative rap, USA is what I love. Conservative rap, oh nah, nah, they calling it conservative.
So look, do you think Democrats don't like guns? I got news for you. They do. All right.
Rap, love my country, I defend her. Conservative rap, cause there's a...
And again, all those things Democrats could also fall right in line with. You know what I'm saying? They could.
Only two genders. Conservative rap, rep that Second Amendment. Conservative rap, that's conservative.
Yeah, we know you're a bigot. Okay? We know that much, right? What is it about conservatives that are just so obsessed with talking about trans people? Like they just can't let that one go, right? They just can't understand how, things could get mixed up when people are being born, right? They just don't understand. So I think it's on the principles of, well, God doesn't make mistakes. Okay? That's your theory. Let's see if that theory holds up. Children being born with cancer. Oh, wait a minute. If God doesn't make mistakes, that means that child was supposed to be born with cancer? That was God's plan? A child being born with no arms? Oh, that's not a fun topic. How about a child being born that has no legs or arms? Oh, that's not fun at all. What kind of purpose would God have to have someone being born with that many disadvantages? Okay. Just think about all the things you do with your hands every single day. And then just imagine if you didn't have your hands or arms. Just none. No arms, no nothing. No legs. You're just a torso and a head. And do you still think that theory holds up that God doesn't make mistakes? So, if a mother does hard drugs, doesn't follow doctor's orders, doesn't do anything at all to ensure that she's going to have a healthy baby, okay, who are we going to blame that on? We're going to blame that on God, or we're going to blame that on the mother? Hopefully, we're going to blame that on the mother. And we're going to say, you were the one doing drugs. This is on you. This is not on God, right? Hopefully, most people would agree with that. You would blame the person who was actually at fault. And then we also have to look at genetics, right? And this is my theory about the way that, mental illness uh, gets passed along, and bad genetics and everything else is from one childbirth, right? From a child having birth defects, right? Then that child grows up, that child ends up having children, and well, guess what? There's a chance that, their children could be born with birth defects, even though, they might have followed all the procedures, right? And did everything the way they're supposed to, but their, genes gets passed along, right? I think that's why we're hearing more and more about, trans people. And he wants to say there's only two genders. What about hermaphrodites? Okay, you know, go ahead and tell me, what gender are they? Doesn't that have to be on a case by case basis? Each one of those people have their own unique set of circumstances, right? And whenever you look at someone who says they're trans and you're telling them they're not, how do you know they didn't have any physical, you know, mixed attributes when they were born? How do you know that? You don't.
Rap, conservative rap. Well, then tell me what that means. That means I keep a strap always tucked beneath my jeans. That means I'm spitting facts. I don't care what y'all believe. That means there's two genders, not Adam and Steve. That means I don't react just because it's in the media.
So look, he's conflating issues now, right? Two genders is a whole different topic than Adam and Steve. Okay, one is talking about transgendered people, the other one's talking about gay people, right? Those are two separate topics right there.
Liberals make me laugh, but they really not comedians. This 1% just act like they don't love pedophilia, but we see through the lies. That's why all of us are speaking up. That means I want less government and power to the people. Will someone close the borders and get rid of these illegals? That means I wave a flag and I'm loyal to the ego. That means I'm fighting tyrants and like everything that's evil. Cause I rap about guns.
Yeah, this is why I stopped doing reactions to Nick Nittoli. Okay?
Conservative rap, cause I rap about Trump. Conservative rap, USA is what I love. Conservative rap, that's conservative rap. Conservative rap, I ain't vote for Joe Biden. Conservative rap, just because I'm pro-life and I take my hat off when I hear them sing that anthem. Not ashamed of my country, yeah, I'm proud to be American. I guess I'm on the right, cause my gender isn't fluid. Hope my colors offend you, that's that red, white, and blue. And cause I only watch Fox and I still don't trust the news. I'm a patriot, so when you see me...
Fox is the news. Okay? Look, it's just so bizarre. It's like every single news channel has their own, bias, right? And their own agenda that they're going to push. Every single one. That's why you should really expand, right? And watch multiple sources. Watch the same story, but from Fox, from, CNN, NBC, all of them. And then really start to get an idea about who is being honest and who's telling you a bunch of lies.
Go ahead saluting just because I love my family and I swore to protect them. Got God-given liberties and hope that you respect them. I guess that makes me the enemy. I must love white supremacy. Must be racist, is that what you telling me? They calling it conservative rap.
And all the while, he just gave us a liberal talking point. Did y'all catch that? I hope you did.
Or to protect them, God-given liberties and hope that you respect.
God-given liberties. If you actually talk to liberals, okay, That's what you would hear. Like, that's the main principle they would stand on, okay?
I guess that makes me the enemy. I must love white supremacy. Must be racist, is that what you telling me? Yeah, they calling it conservative rap, cause I rap about guns. Conservative rap, cause I rap about Trump. Conservative rap, USA is what I love. Conservative rap, oh nah, nah, nah. Conservative rap, love my country, I defend her. Conservative rap, cause there's only two genders. Conservative rap, rep that Second Amendment. Conservative rap, that's conservative rap.
So I feel like at this point, I have to prove it. Because there's going to be a lot of people who just ain't going to believe me, right? That liberals, like their main, principle that they're going to stand for is liberty. Okay. So let's go ahead and see if we can prove that real quick. So we got a video from Philosophy 5. Now, I haven't seen this video yet, so I have no idea if this is going to be an accurate representation or maybe it's just going to be horrible. Okay, conservative versus liberalism.
When it comes to the social elements of the state, the two major ideologies that philosophers focus on are conservatism and liberalism. Conservatism is associated with beliefs that a country or state should hold tradition and custom as the most important aspects of their society. Conservatives do not like the idea of social change unless it is absolutely necessary. Conservatism basically favours long-standing traditions of culture, religious beliefs, or national-defined beliefs. I see. Conservatism carries patriotism for the nation-state and believes that our belonging to a nation with a history of beliefs and culture brings us and the people in our nation closer together. Our national identity, our social structures, norms, values have been built up over thousands of years through many generations to shape us and make us who we are, and conservatism believes this should be preserved and protected. Yes, I understand. However, in the last century or so, we've seen radical social changes across the Western world, the whole world in fact. As human beings, we're a creature that is always changing. We're learning, we're evolving, so of course there are going to be social changes, because we as people are always changing. Okay, but conservatism isn't against change completely, but rather it believes this change should be a slow or gradual process. It could be referred to as organic change. Conservatives understand there is a social change, but would like to control it and ease it in piece by piece so as to not disturb the wider web of society. It doesn't believe in radical change or any form of revolutionary change in a society. Well, there has been radical change and revolutionary change in many parts of the world, and a lot of this has been beneficial. Conservatism is concerned with social culture, but there have been many cultures of oppression and subjugation around the world, and conservatives would argue that this still needs to be protected. It is because of this that I favour liberalism. Liberalism is based on the political philosophy centred around the individual. The individual should have as much personal freedom as possible, providing that.
And so, there you have it. That kind of proves the point I was trying to make. Okay? Nittoli wants liberty for everyone who's on his side of the aisle. And very little liberty for everyone else. Because they're wrong, they need to shut up. Okay? They don't get the same rights as he gets. Okay? Because he's right. And his way needs to be the dominant way. Everyone else needs to follow them. They need to change. They're what's wrong with society. While the liberals wants everyone to be able to live their life the way they want to live it and not have someone else dictating every little thing to them.
if freedom does not affect anyone else other than the individual. So for liberals, tradition and culture and custom are not important at all, and they see no value in upholding these. It is just down to what the individual wants, how the individual wishes to act or to dress or to live. It's all about personal freedom and giving each person the most amount of freedom possible. Interesting. In the last century or so, liberalism has really taken over in the Western world and shaped our beliefs of toleration and respect for all human beings, no matter how different they are. Yes, okay, but liberalism does run into its own problems. If too much emphasis is put on personal freedom, nation-states may find themselves in a situation where all their citizens are completely different, where there is no national culture or common beliefs. Too much different.
Okay, how about this for an idea? Stop trying to, control the rest of the freaking world and tell everyone how they need to live. Worry about your own self, okay? Worry about what you want out of life and go do that.
Differentiation can break down our sense of community, togetherness, our sense of being one. We are then left with a nation of lots of individuals, but no unity or common beliefs or culture. Yes, I see the argument.
So that was a pretty good video right there. Okay. Now I want to find another one that is, basically the same thing. Hopefully something that's only a few minutes long, just like this. And maybe get another perspective on the issue.
Welcome to Illustrate to Educate. Please subscribe and ring the bell for more simple and objective videos on topics that matter. In this video, we're going to look at a simple explanation of libertarianism, as well as the arguments for and against libertarianism. Libertarianism is a political philosophy that advocates for minimal government intervention in the lives of individuals and the economy. It is based on the belief that individuals,
which is something Nick Nittoli said. He wants minimal government intervention. He wants people to be able to live their lives as they want. That is a liberal talking point. Okay?
have the right to exercise autonomy and freedom of choice, as long as they do not harm others. This principle is often referred to as the non-aggression principle and is central to libertarianism. Libertarians believe in the protection of individual rights and the importance of property rights. They argue that individuals should be free to make their own decisions about how to live their lives, and that the government should not be involved in regulating personal behavior.
So look, both sides want liberty, okay? Both sides want individual freedom. There is a difference though, okay? The conservatives want freedom for people as long as they adhere to conservative values. Those people need to have their freedom. However, if someone's lifestyle does not adhere to or follow the basic rules that the conservatives would set, then those people shouldn't be allowed to live the life they want to live, regardless of whether they're hurting anyone, trying to, force their way of life on anyone or not. That's irrelevant, okay? What really matters is their lifestyle is not approved, and so therefore they can't live that way. All right. The liberals, however, at least to my understanding, would say even the conservatives should have their freedom of speech. They should have their own individual liberty, okay? Even though, they're opposites, right? Your philosophy doesn't line up with mine, but that's okay. You go live the life you want to live, as long as you're not hurting anyone else or trying to force your beliefs on other people, right? Then I don't care. Go live your life. You know what I'm saying? That is, to me, that's the philosophy of a liberal.
Rights and the importance of property rights. They argue that individuals should be free to make their own decisions about how to live their lives, and that the government should not be involved in regulating personal behavior. This includes issues such as drug use, reproductive rights, among many other things. In terms of economic policy, libertarians
That part is what I will disagree with the liberals on, okay, and reproductive rights, because, the problem, like, I understand the philosophy, right? Well, it's the mother's body. She should have the right to choose, right? I understand the philosophy. The problem is, who's going to speak up for the baby? You know what I'm saying? So I think the most important question is, at what point does that child deserve to have rights? The right to live without being, killed. Okay. And I would say, if there's a heartbeat, if there's brain activity, if there's anything like that, then guess what? Then you shouldn't be able to have an abortion then. You really shouldn't. And then I know some people are going to argue and say, well, what about if there's complications, right? Then they'd say, well, what if the mother's life is in danger? Because if she dies, they both die, right? Well, here's the problem with that. That would not be an abortion, okay? And I've had this argument plenty of times. I'm going to have it again, I guess. With an abortion, the purpose of that procedure is to end the life of the child, okay? In an emergency situation where one life or the other or both are at risk, the doctors would try and preserve the life of the mother and the child, okay? They would do as much as possible for both lives, not one or the other, okay? So that is not an abortion.
support free market capitalism and the abolition of government regulation and subsidies. They argue that a free market economy in which prices are determined by supply and demand is the most efficient and fair system. They also believe that government intervention in the economy, such as through taxes and regulations, hinders economic growth and prosperity. Libertarians also hold that the role of government should be limited to protecting individuals and their property from harm, including through the provision of a legal system and a military for defense. They reject the idea that the government should play a central role in redistributing wealth, providing social services, or managing the economy. When it comes to the pros and cons of libertarianism, those who support it say that it provides
Yeah, that doesn't sound right at all. They're saying liberals don't like the idea of social services. No, that's the conservatives who don't like social services. Okay.
free to make their own decisions about how to live their lives, and that the government should not be involved in regulating personal behavior. This includes issues such as drug use, reproductive rights, among many other things. In terms of economic policy, libertarians support free market capitalism and the abolition of government regulation and subsidies. They argue that a free market economy in which prices are determined by supply and demand is the most efficient and fair system. They also believe that government intervention in the economy, such as through taxes and regulations, hinders economic growth and prosperity.
So liberals don't agree with paying taxes? Again, this is a conservative talking point, right?
Libertarians also hold that the role of government should be limited to protecting individuals and their property from harm, including through the provision of a legal system and a military for defense. They reject the idea that the government should play a central role in redistributing wealth, providing social services, or managing the economy. When it comes to the pros and cons of libertarianism, those who support it say that it provides individual freedom and autonomy. Libertarians believe that individuals should be able to make their own choices and decisions without interference from the government. They argue that this promotes personal responsibility and self-reliance. Next, they point to a smaller government with limited powers, which they argue will lead to greater economic freedom and efficiency. Third, libertarians believe that free markets in which prices are determined by supply and demand lead to greater economic growth and prosperity. They argue that government intervention in the economy, such as through taxes and regulations, hinders economic growth. Lastly, those who
We need regulations. That is not a bad thing. You know, if this really is part of the liberal, philosophy, then that part I'm going to say they're wrong on, okay? But what I would say is, like, a lot of the things they're talking about here, like, this comes from conservative talking points, not liberal. I could be wrong, though. So I think what we need to do, we need to watch another video from a different source to talk about what conservative means, okay? Especially when it comes to the economy.
support libertarianism believe that protection of property rights are essential to protecting individual freedom and that the government should not be able to seize private property without just compensation. Those against libertarianism argue that libertarian policies, such as the promotion of free markets and limited government intervention, can lead to greater income and wealth inequality. Next, they point to the lack of a social safety net. Because libertarians believe that the government should not play a role in providing social services or redistributing wealth, those against libertarianism believe this lack of support for those in need can.
And again, like, that's socialism. So it's like, I'm not sure, maybe this person got their sources confused, right? Maybe they listened to the wrong people and they've gotten confused. Or maybe I'm confused. I don't know. We'll see. But I would think socialism would come from the left, not the right.
Exacerbate poverty. Third, they point out that limited government intervention in the economy can lead to negative side effects, such as pollution and market failure. They believe that. Third, they point out that limited government intervention in the economy can lead to negative side effects, such as pollution.
That's 100% correct, and that's exactly why I said we need regulations, okay? I could understand to a point to say, like, we shouldn't, like, nitpick every little thing, right? But if something is bad for the environment, then it needs to get corrected. We need to, find other ways so that we're not impacting the environment, right? If you want to say all regulations are bad, then, grocery stores could start dumping their chemicals out in a lake behind their store, right? And then, like, we're just going to start polluting all the water. And it's like, no, we need regulations to keep stores and big companies from being able to do that.
Pollution and market failure. They believe that limited intervention in issues like healthcare and education may result in a lack of access to basic needs for certain individuals and communities. Keep in mind that there are different variations of libertarianism and some of the criticisms may not apply to all variations. What are your
That is true. There's a lot of different, variations, right? Alright guys, so this is going to be the last video we're going to look at, okay? This is from Todd. Conservative economics or liberal economics.
There are two different economic points of view. One is conservative, and the other is liberal. For decades only the conservative economic point of view was taught in schools, and this is why the United States Federal Reserve Bank and the International Monetary Fund both follow the conservative economic point of view. However, over time, people started asking why have things not gotten any better? Why does not the conservative economic point of view work? The conservative economic point of view sounds good on the surface. But when one thinks about it, most of it is not logical. Or it only works when the economy is good, which means that it is not needed. The conservative economic point of view is designed to keep as much money in the hands of the rich as possible. The liberal economic point of view has proven to work, but it does cost a lot of money to implement. But in the long term, the liberal economic point of view creates a strong economy and improves lives for everyone. For example, the country of Iceland has only two.
Seems like this is coming from a liberal. Okay, that might be the difference from the video we looked at before, right? Where it was like some things I agreed with, but then when it came to the economy, it just seemed like they had it backwards, in my opinion. All right.
Industries, which are tourism and aluminum mining. In year 2008, when the world was going through a financial crisis, the conservative economic experts said that Iceland's economy was one of the worst economies in the world. Because of this, it might take Iceland generations to fix. In the past, Iceland was run and managed mostly by conservative men. This included banking and government. Then in 2008, the people of Iceland elected women for these jobs. The president, prime minister and most of the parliament were elected women. They did the opposite of what the conservative experts said to do. They increased taxes on the rich, increased regulations and expanded social programs. This resulted in Iceland's economy making a full recovery in 1 year. Iceland's economy recovered from the 2008 financial crisis faster than all the other economies. And has been strong ever since.
And why? And is it possible for me to explain that? Well, yes. Of course I can explain that. So this is very simple, okay? We have to consider the phrase, it takes money to make money, okay? It's very simple. If you give people an opportunity, right? You know, if we could even take it to the Bible, right? To further illustrate my point. Give a man fish, you feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Okay, it's that simple. You know, if you give a man neither, then guess what? He doesn't have anything because you haven't helped him. Okay, and at that point, he doesn't have the skill set to provide for his family on his own. He needs help. And you are in the position that where you could help him, right? You could help him, teach him a skill that he could use to benefit himself and his family. And guess what? He could then go and teach other people the same skill. And then, you know, that process just continues forward. And it goes far beyond fishing, right? You teach a man woodworking, he can start crafting and building furniture that he can take and sell. You teach people skills. You do anything to help someone be able to better themselves. That's going to, you know, benefit them and it's going to benefit their families. Okay? So it's that simple. So to me, like, this is the mind of a liberal. Like, this is what their stance would be, right? Let's help the people in need, and hopefully, you know, they will continue that process going forward and help other people once they come ahead, right? And if you want an even better explanation of that, right? Go listen to the song Chain of Love by Clay Walker. Okay, go listen to that. Then you might start to fully understand what I'm talking about here. Okay.
Countries like Argentina, Venezuela, Turkey and Pakistan are similar to Iceland. They import most of everything they need, or their imports are bigger than their exports. This means more money is going out than coming in. The conservative experts said that because of this, and corruption are why their economies are in such bad shape. Every few years, these countries ask the International Monetary Fund for money. And most of the time, the International Monetary Fund gives them the money, but with economic reforms attached. These countries get the money and try to implement the required economic reforms. One of the requirements has always been to cut or reduce social programs. However, their economies do not improve. Or their economy does improve, but only for a short time. The International Monetary Fund says that their economies are not improving, because these countries have massive corruption. The corruption is keeping the money from getting to the places it needs to be. If the corruption is so bad, then why does not the International Monetary Fund send with the money accountants? These accountants can ensure that the money is getting to the places it needs to go. and all the required reforms are implemented correctly. When the president of Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, started implementing more social programs, Venezuela's economy started to improve. But the conservatives talked bad about the man and called him a dictator. But from what the information I was able to attain, he was popular, and many poor people's lives improved. Their lives might not have improved by much, but his policies or new social programs did help. Plus, he did not attempt to override the National Assembly of Venezuela. Therefore, he was not a true dictator. The current president of Venezuela is Nicolás Maduro. They say that he did not win the last election, which indicates that he does act like a dictator. This is why almost all of the world's developed countries put sanctions on Venezuela. However, before the developed countries put sanctions on Venezuela, he killed all of Hugo Chávez's social programs. And when he did this, the Venezuela's economy went from bad to really bad. The point I am trying to make is that social programs create a strong economy. When you look at all the countries that have strong social programs, they have the best economies. Such as the United States, Norway, and Sweden. Iceland has the most social programs, and they have the most robust economy. The countries with little to no social programs all have the worst economies. Such as the Philippines and Thailand. Plus, just because you might call yourself a socialist country or a welfare state, such as Uruguay, Argentina, Chile, Costa Rica, Brazil, and China, does not mean that they have true social programs. True social programs include free education, free healthcare, money for the poor to buy food and housing, and money from the government to allow one to retire in dignity. Plus, an effective agricultural program.
That's true. You know, that is so true, and that is something so many people overlook when they talk about socialism. And that's something I have to bring up constantly when I talk to someone that's in that camp. Okay. You know, taxation is theft, right? They're taking my money and I'm not getting anything for it. Well, you send your kids to school, don't you? But you don't have to pay for it. You can get, you know, free lunch and breakfast for your kids. You don't have to pay for that. There's so many other things that you are receiving and you're not having to pay for it. If you drive on roads that are full of potholes, guess what? You can complain, right? And they might be able to come out and fix those roads. And they're not going to charge you for it. You know, and then what about the libraries? Those are always free. They don't charge anything to go in there, and they don't even charge you to you know, rent books and movies and stuff, right? That's all free. So again, like, these are all things that goes with socialism, okay? These are social programs to help people when they need help. And if you want to eliminate taxes, right, then who's going to pay to keep the schools open? Well, you are, right? You're not paying taxes anymore, so that's going to be on you. You still want to have free lunch and dinner for your children? Not anymore. You're going to have to pay for that too, right? To be able to go to the library and rent books and movies? Nope. You're going to have to pay for all that. To have a request for the city to come out and fix a pothole? That's going to cost. All right? Every single thing you're going to ask for, that you're going to want, well, guess what? The government or the city or whatever it is, they can charge you for that, and they would. All right? You know, I feel like a lot of people just can't comprehend this. Okay? So go play a game of Monopoly, right? And anytime you get a tax, anytime you get anything that says pay money to the bank, you just don't do it. You just ignore it and say, the bank ain't getting anything. Okay? You're going to be somewhere around halfway through the game, and what's going to happen is the bank isn't going to have any money. They're going to be bankrupt. Now, just think about that, but it's, except for a game of Monopoly, think about that being a country. that just doesn't have any more money. Okay? That's not going to be a good thing. All right? That is why taxes are important to have in monopoly. It's that simple. You are receiving a life-saving service, okay, when you collect a paycheck. Now, it is because of that you have to give something back in return. That goes to the government, right? And that service that your employer is providing to you, like I said, is life-saving, right? With that money that you're getting now, you can pay your rent, you can pay your utilities, you can get food, you can do pretty much whatever you need to do with that money that you're getting from working. Okay. Now, if there was a better system where we could say, okay, there's no more taxes, right? You guys don't have to pay taxes at all anymore, and the government still has money to pay for social programs to help needy families, I'm all ears. You guys tell me, how could that ever work? Okay? Because like I said, if the government stops getting money completely, right, they're going to run out of money. And that means no more food stamps, no more free libraries, no more free schooling, no more anything. And so what happens to poor families? Well, we can't afford to send our kids to school anymore, right? What's going to happen then? It's not going to be a good thing, now is it?
Many universities in the United States offer college degrees in agriculture, waste management, and water management. Plus, they also have strong labor laws. Labor laws that protect the worker and ensure they have time to enjoy the money they earned. So as long as these countries keep implementing the International Monetary Fund require reforms, then their economies will never truly improve. In the 1970s, Argentina implemented all of the conservatives' economic policies, and their economy kept going downhill. The father of conservatives' economic policies was Milton Friedman. In my opinion, he was a piece of shit. He knew his policies did not work. Plus, there are decades of proof that all his policies did was caused a lot of hardship and suffering. Yet, he kept pushing them until the day he died in year 2006. Liberal economics was formed from millions of people coming to the same conclusions independently. Thus, there is no father of liberal economics.
So, this right here pretty much establishes, that video we watched before, to my understanding, that video was just wrong when it came to economics. Okay? The liberals are in support of taxes, right? Because they support individual freedom. They want liberty for everyone, not just the ones that, is on their side of the aisle, but for everyone, right? So I just think this was, a lot more accurate, all right? But hey, I'm more than willing to have a conversation, all right? If y'all disagree, put in the comments and let me know what other information I should be looking at, all right? So, all right, that's it for now, y'all.